What if most of what you've ever learned was inaccurate? Or more, what if most of what you've been conditioned to believe was a deliberate deception? What is it that shapes a person's beliefs? What is that underlying force that determines what is true and knowable for a person? Is there an ultimate truth or truths that are actually obtainable to bring into the understanding of our awareness? Is any truth unchangeable and entirely absolute? Great thinkers spend their entire lifetimes in search of the truth. It is this search that inevitably leads to greater knowledge, building the bridge into wisdom. If we had already arrived, then the search would have ended long ago. Evolvement does not operate in this manner. It is a constant journey towards reaching into the unknown to bring the new into the known. It is a never-ending journey of experience, an endless cycle of shifting paradigms as old, outmoded ideologies fall into the dust to pave the way for new knowledge. It seems to be human nature to hold on tightly to what is comfortable and known rather than to embrace new understandings with an open mind for possibility. The time frame we are now living in will be the challenge of many lifetimes as we are pushed to the depths and very edges of who we believe we are. Sadly, far too many people, and especially so in North America, seem to have conceded their right to think for themselves. Overwhelmingly, the mass consciousness appears to be engaged, or rather trapped, within very narrow confines of limited thinking. These limiting views of reality and what is possible are indoctrinated into the psyche from very early on and follow us into our adult years, and many never break free from the dogmas and limitations that have been purposely sugar-coated for the masses to swallow, hook, line, and sinker, and this is crucial to the whole control game. In the United States, a sickeningly high percentage of people are conditioned by what is touted in the media, motion pictures, print and TV advertising, churches and universities, and other organizations. I'm not saying there isn't any value in TV, churches, universities, etc. However, what I am saying is that the mass majority have grown quite accustomed to accepting what they are told without questioning, and that all of the aforementioned have been used as vehicles to program and limit humanity's vision of itself. How many of us actually take the time to question where our beliefs come from? How many have actually sat down and asked themselves, what is it that makes me believe this or that? When did I decide that this is true, and when did I decide that there simply can be no other alternative? Obviously, not very many. It's far easier to simply click on the TV or pick up a newspaper than to gather information and draw your own conclusions. It's far easier to merely listen to a doctor or some expert than to engage in one's own study. We have become a nation of passive and lazy thinkers. Much of what people adamantly cling on to as factual truth oftentimes is not, and though may be provable, many will defend their beliefs, dogmas, ideologies, or conditioning without ever even considering any alternative. They will discount any evidence to the contrary before even considering it. It is this rigidity of thought that allows for so many to be so effectively controlled, as well as the mass majority not even realizing they are being controlled. It is the intolerance of any idea that lies outside of the official, accepted views that allows for so many to be so effectively programmed and to so easily accept illogical concepts as actual truths, and the subsequent fear of the repercussions of what thinking, acting, and expressing oneself outside of the tiny box of normality brings that keeps the masses in line. We can't have people thinking for themselves. It'll catch on, and then everyone will want to do it. Throughout history, it has been the lunatics, the nut jobs, the eccentrics, the heretics, the free thinkers, who have challenged the normally accepted paradigms and worldviews only to prove later on that their outrageous ideas were actually brilliant. The people of the particular time frame would ridicule, ignore, reject, or simply label these people as insane, only to find later that their ideas were actually ahead of their time. This is happening again in this point of history. However, this time it is happening on a magnitude never before witnessed in human history. Existing dogmas, ideologies, and generally accepted beliefs concerning life, creation, the nature of reality, and many concepts now held as indisputable truth will crumble into the dust of outmoded and old-fashioned limiting ideas where they surely belong. We are on the verge of witnessing the most dramatic and profound paradigm shift perhaps ever witnessed in all of human history. This is undoubtedly the most amazing time frame to be living in. You can always tell when you are witnessing a highly programmed mind when you watch someone immediately attack a new idea that challenges what they already think they know without even considering the information. "Oh, that's nonsense," they'll say. But when you offer to provide documented information or even indisputable proof that shows otherwise, it is rejected before even being considered. They are masters at the practice of contempt prior to investigation. Sadly, for far too many people, being right appears to be far more important than understanding. Fragile and overinflated egos appear to be prevalent in the minds of so many. The thought of actually being wrong is terrifying, and so, far easier to cling on to beliefs that limit a person's thoughts to a particular comfort zone than to remain open-minded in a playful and observational mode in the challenge of questioning existing dogmas and opening up to new possibilities. Being wrong is fine. It brings new understanding. However, I see so many people, even very young folks, who are simply stuck and maintain a very firm stance within limiting beliefs, and ultimately it is their thinking that keeps them there. It is the mode of limiting and non-questioning thinking which has been so crucial and vital to maintaining the curtain of limitation that has been placed before us. Every usable measure is taken at every turn to enforce this way of thinking, as limitation is vital to maintaining control over the minds of the masses. Fear is the grand tool wielded so flagrantly to ensure that the masses remain controlled within a limited state of non-thinking unawareness. However, this is the lifetime that all of this can change, or will change, as the curtain lifts and humanity steps into the light of who and what we are. Challenging one's beliefs is not always an easy thing. However, it is almost always a rewarding one. When I first began to engage in this type of research, an immense depression fell over me. I watched my precious beliefs shatter one by one before my eyes. At first this was painful. However, in the long run, it has proven to be a great gift. If you are new to this type of information, keep this in mind. You may get upset or at times feel outrage at much of the information. However, above and beyond the truth concerning who's pulling the global strings is a far greater truth and wisdom in understanding who and what we are and where the solutions lie. And it is a beautiful and profound truth. These are the truths that have been kept from humanity for a very long time, and the ones that will set us free, pushing us forward into a new age of enlightenment and possibility if we choose to walk that road. We, as planetary citizens, are about to be faced with a choice of great magnitude. Individually, then collectively, we must decide where we stand and where we go from here. No one else can make the choice for us. Certainly not our world leaders. For the time of giving our individual and collective power away to outside forces has got to come to an end. We are about to face the consequences of giving our power away, and ultimately we will decide what awaits us. Life can be a horrible prison or a great adventure, and either way, it's up to us. It's a choice, and no one else can make it for us.